Hello, sorry, I think we're starting maybe like how many minutes past 1? Fact is, children are on holidays and they're all around having fun. I mean, you can't stop their fun. And I was trying to look for a place where I would not get their chit chat, because the boys, at least, they're playing football or something downstairs, and I'm sure you can hear them. So I think they will just form the background noise for today's broadcast. Anyhow, good afternoon and welcome to Verses and Paragraphs and everything in between to today's broadcast, which promises to be very interesting. Oluwafunto Onifade, you are welcome. You are welcome. Thank you. You're watching all the way from France. So, they greet in France. Bon après-midi, something like that. Anyhow, today is Hi, Oluwafunto. It's good to see you. I was trying to explain. Yes, Bridget Ese Musheshe, you are on, and welcome to today's broadcast. It's 1 p.m. Nigerian time. It's 7 a.m. I guess in Dallas, and I think it's about the same time in France where Oluwafunto is watching from. Yes, Bridget, you are on. I can see you. You are on. And thank you for signing on. Hello, Bridget, and welcome. Today we're going to be talking about a language. It's a language we use every day. And guess what? Lauren Palapak, I don't know that person. Oui, madam. Anyway, Lauren, you are welcome and thank you for joining the show. Today we're going to be talking about French words in English. There are so many words we use every day that we do not understand that they are actually French words. Okay, it's 2 p.m. in France. I didn't know that. Okay, about like 1 hour ahead of us. Anyhow, today we're going to be talking about the French words that we use in English language. And Oluwafunto, this should be interesting since you live in France. You'll be surprised to discover that most of the English words that we think are English are actually French words. Now, I had already explained earlier on a little bit about the background noise. Children are on holidays and they are playing. I have been looking for a quiet place, but there's no quiet place. So we just use them as our background noise, and that is an aeroplane flying overhead. Anyhow, we understand that at some point in time, Eloho is watching. Eloho, you're welcome, watching from Edinburgh. It's going to be a bit noisy, so you're going to have to cope with the sound. Today we'll be talking about French words in English language. Did you know that about 29% of the words of English words come from French? And we use them every day and we do not know. Now, how did French words find their way into English language? And that is the history we're going to be talking about today. Very interesting history. It was so interesting, I thought I just had to share this. Now, after the Norman conquest of 1066, the Anglo-Norman Old French became the language of the elite. The elite said that, okay, now instead of us speaking the regular English, let us speak French. And so for 300 years, Norman was the language the British elite used to distinguish itself from the population. Back then, French was a clear way to say, I am not like most people. But do you know that even today, when I see people who speak French so fluently, I am so impressed. Like my friend Abigail just chit-chat. When you see her chit-chatting in French, and you mean you speak French? It sounds so exotic. Now, how did the Norman conquest happen is what we're going to be talking about today. Very, very interesting. Now, the Norman conquest of England was the 11th century. Chloe Askia, thank God you're watching today. You are welcome to the broadcast. We're talking about French words in English and how it came about. And it came about the Norman conquest. And they occupied England. And the person who led the people into battle was called William the Conqueror then. Now it is very, very interesting how he decided to invade England. Hello, Chloe. On December 25th, 1066, William was crowned the new king of England. The Norman conquest brought an important change in English history for a number of reasons. The conquest linked England more closely with continental Europe and made Scandinavian influence less important. But now I want to tell you about some of the facts of the conquest, because the king that he succeeded died in January, and he was supposed to have been crowned almost immediately, but a number of things happened. So these are some of the facts that arose from the conquest by the Normans of England. After they had conquered England, every major church in England was rebuilt as a result of the Norman conquest. Then the Norman conquest also introduced castles. So when you see castles in Britain, they were introduced by the French people. By the time of William's death in 1087, 500 castles had been built across England and Wales. So wherever you see a castle, it wasn't an original British thing, it was... Okay, Angel and Daffy, thank you so much for watching. They're watching from, what do you call that place? Mesquite in Dallas, which is in Texas. Thank you guys, Angel and Daffy. Hope you're not going to go late to school. Then, as a result of the Norman conquest, more than 100,000 people died. And then, one thing that they introduced then, way back then, before the Normans invaded England, if you had a quarrel with your political rival, you just killed him. Does that sound familiar? You just killed him. But after the Norman conquest, chivalry became the game of the day. Now, chivalry is polite, kind, and unselfish behavior, especially by men towards women. But then this was now introduced. If you had a problem or a quarrel with your political rival, you no longer murdered him. Does that sound familiar? When you murder your political rivals. Now, after that one, nobody killed again. No man dared to slay another man, no matter what the man did. Ehi or Jalabi, thank you for watching. I can see you have joined on. Then, this is the one that actually freaked me out. There was slave trade in England. And as a result of the slave trade, there were slaves. But when the Norman conquest came, he banned it. Okay, now let me just welcome some people. Peter Edward is watching. Shaihu Atumeyijan, I don't know where you're watching from, but she says hello, and hello to you too. Today we're talking about French words in the English language, and do you know that most of the words we use are actually of French origin, even though they're English. Now, how the French words came into English was that England was invaded by William the Norman, or William the Conqueror, in 1066. And I'll tell you the reason, which is a very, very, very funny reason why he invaded English. According to him, he was a distant cousin of Edward the Confessor. And when Edward the Confessor came to visit him, in France, according to him, he said that Edward the Confessor promised that after he died, that he, William, could now take over. I find that very funny and very, very interesting. You are French, because your distant cousin is a king. Then when that one dies, you say, okay, let me become the king. Then, a day after Edward the Confessor died, another person succeeded, and he was called Harold. Now, how did Harold become king? They say he was of a noble repute, he was a good soldier, good politician, and good speaker. But years before, he was shipwrecked and washed ashore on the Normandy shores, and he was taken to this same William. And he now promised William under oath that when Edward died, he would help William to become King of England. Now, he swore that oath over a box, and that box contained bones of a saint. But the Harold did not know that there were bones of a saint there, and that the oath that he had made was binding. But immediately Edward the Confessor died, he took over the day after. So William the Conqueror decided that this land has been promised to me, I am going to go and collect. And so he invaded the northern part of England, and he became king. Now, the reason why Harold couldn't even become king, he wasn't of royal descent. He didn't even have any direct link to royalty. Can you just imagine? Say because Buhari is president of Nigeria, then one of his cousins, a distant cousin, comes in from maybe Sierra Leone and says, okay, when you leave, all right, please, I want to become president of Nigeria. It sounds very, very funny, but that was what happened. But then, even though he became king, then he introduced so many things that were very interesting, and I've already been reading them. Now, the first thing that I said he did was that every major church in England became rebuilt. And then the second thing is that castles were built in Britain. And at the time of his death, there were about 500 castles. It is pretty hot here, and I am dripping sweat. Then, as a result of the Norman conquest, more than 100,000 people died. Then another thing that the Normans introduced when they took over England was that they stopped political murders. Then if you had a problem with a political rival, you just slaughter the person. But that sounds very, very familiar. If you ask me, sounds very familiar. But the Normans, they introduced chivalry. Now, chivalry is polite, kind, and unselfish behavior, especially from a man towards a woman. But then, when the Normans came in, they stopped that war. You can no longer kill your rival, no matter what the person has done. And then another thing they introduced, or rather what they banned the English slave trade. I didn't know that there was English slave trade. In the pre-conquest England, at least 10% of the population, and perhaps as much as 30%, were slaves. In old England, they had slaves. Now, these slaves, they were treated like human property, and they could be sold, beaten, and branded as their masters saw fit. It was a sin to kill a slave, but not a crime. I don't know what the difference is. Between killing a slave and then, killing a slave as a crime and killing a slave as a sin. Anyhow, when the Normans came on, they abolished that one, and no longer did they have slaves in Britain. Is warning as usual. I hope they don't know. Anyhow, let's talk now. One thing, so reading to you the French words that have found their way into English language. Then what else did they do? All right, I think I've talked about it, and the fact that William Norman laid claim to English, according to him, promised to his distant cousin, who was the then king of England. So when he came to visit, that he promised them that he would give him like this, behaving like this. Anyhow, I'll get that later. Now, words, some of these French words that have found their way in English language include bourgeois. Talk about some of the and there is brunette, that is for the white people. Chauffeur, we're talking about chauffeur. Judith Orogu, you're welcome. Judith is watching from Canada. I know I speak French in Canada too. So we're talking about French words in the English language and the history behind how French became the elitist way of speaking, and that was after the Norman conquest of 1066. Then, if you did not speak French, you were considered someone who is, you are not there. But the elite started, excuse me, I want to wipe my face. So I don't know the fan that is blowing there. Good morning from Ontario, Canada. Yes, bonjour. Roy Aromaselli, I think you are watching from Canada. It's good to have you. Today we're talking about French words in the English language and the history behind how French words found their way into the English language. I'm reading some of the words. Like when you are using the word chic, that's something that is stylish. That's a French word, but it's considered an English word now. Depot, we're talking about déjà vu, eau de cologne. En route, when you say I'm en route to the meeting, en route is actually a French word, but it is now considered English. Then entrepreneur, fiance, of course, joie de vivre, that is the joy of living, toilette, RSVP, when we put out our invitations and we say RSVP, it actually means respondez s'il vous plaît, that is reply if you please, that you're not going to call. All of us have to even rice and soup, very plenty. RSVP is a French word which has found its way into the English language. Then we also have toilette, bon voyage. Cliché, we're talking about cliché, you're talking cliché. Bouquet, bouquet that is thrown at weddings. That is actually a French word. Boutique. All of those of you who open boutiques, or if you know boutiques, boutique is actually a French word. Then they're cool. A la carte. So I'm going to go and eat a la carte. A la carte is actually a French word which has found its way into the English language. Then you have ballet. Cul-de-sac. Yeah, cul-de-sac is one of them. Cul-de-sac is a short word. Bon appetit. Bureau. We're talking about bureau de change and everything. All those ones are French words. A charlatan. Say that man is a charlatan. When you say this, when you describe people as being in a clique is a French word. Communique. Communique, every time they go for a conference or something, they're going to write a communique. That is actually a French word. Comme si, comme ça. When people are talking, you know, you want to. I can tell you when people speak French, it sounds so elitist. Even in Nigeria today, like I said, my friend Abigail, she speaks French. When she's rattling off this French, and I'm wondering, the other day she was rattling off French to a friend, and her brother was there and asked him, "Do you speak French?" She said, "No." But when I listen to Abigail speak French, it sounds very elitist. And when we use some of these expressions, we don't know that they are actually French words which found their way into the English language. Haute couture, okay. Judy, what is haute couture? I know that it is something to do with clothing or something like that. Then we have crèche. We're talking about taking your children to a crèche. Crèche is actually a French word which has found its way into the English language. Decor. So I love the decor. When I went to that place, if you see the woman's house, if you see that hotel, I love the decor. Decor is actually a French word. Then you have dossier. Get me a dossier on that fellow. Eau de toilette. For those of us who love perfumes, you have eau de perfume and eau de toilette, and we used it. Hello, you study French? Is pardon of French origin? I think so. It just might be or essay. It just might be. Hello, you study French. You didn't remember all of these words. Then we have liaison. You know, liaison office. Liaison is actually a French word. Montage. For those of you who do editing, when you say, oh, the opening montage. Montage is actually a French word which has found its way into the English language. Then this should interest food lovers. Omelette. Omelette, like some people when they want to make fun. Omelette is actually a French word. Panache. See, that guy has got panache. You know, he got panache. Panache is actually a French word which has found its way into the English language. Then rapport. You know, rapport you're talking about, I have a rapport with this guy, I have a rapport with that fellow. Oh, I do not have a good rapport with that person. Haute couture is high-end fashion. Okay, haute couture is high-end fashion. And that's from Judith in Ontario, Canada. Okay, Lua Funto, who lives in France, essay, Bridget, says, yes, pardon is French. Okay. Okay, Ella says, hey, Schreiber, Mary John Biggs. Okay, John is one. Okay, John is the one that you always talk about. Okay, hello, John. I'm sorry, I didn't know it was you, but thanks to have you on my show. Then another one, a retard. When you say that person is retarded, retard is actually a French word. How would I have known? Sabotage. Say this person decided to sabotage my plan. All the plans I made, he just sabotaged them. And a saboteur. A sabotage and a saboteur, they are all French words which found their way into the English language. And silhouette. So please take my silhouette. I want a silhouette. Silhouette is French. There's some of these words that I use. I personally use them. I didn't even know. Then tete-a-tete. Tete-a-tete. I want to go and have tete-a-tete. Tete actually means head. Nigerians will say it's tete-a-tete, but it's actually tete-a-tete. And it's like a discussion. Then television. Who would have known that television is actually a French word which has found its way into the English language? And then vis-a-vis. We're talking about vis-a-vis. Retard means late in French. Really? Okay, retard. When you say someone is retarded, it means that the person is mentally retarded. Retard, are you sure? But when you talk about retard, all right. Now, for those of you who are just joining, we're talking about how French found its way into the English language. It found its way into the English language after the Norman conquest of 1066. And I gave a background history of the Norman conquest. William the Conqueror, who was a duke in France, according to him, said that his distant cousin, Edward the Confessor, who was then King of England, when he came to visit him, had promised that after he died, William could take over the throne. Then a couple of years after, one Harold was shipwrecked and was brought to Normandy, and William the Conqueror made that Harold promise over a box which contained the bones of a dead saint, and he made him agree on oath that when Edward the Confessor died, he would help him to become King of England. And of course he left. And then when he left, Edward the Confessor died on the 5th of January, and the following day Harold installed himself as king. So of course William the Conqueror decided that no, this throne was promised to me by my distant cousin, and you promised that when he died you help me. How come you will come and take over the throne? So he came and he invaded he invaded England in 1066, and he was installed king on the 25th of December 1066. Now, aside from the fact that after the conquest, people now decided that okay, French would become the elitist language, and then of course they now made a sort of yanga shakara that okay, I speak French, and they now decided that people who couldn't speak French were not elitist, and that was how French words now found their way into English language for about 300 years or so. Anyhow, then I've already read some of the words. Now my word of the day has been blown away to one place, but I'm going to get up now and take it. I have a word of the day. So, okay, now, okay, what is it? Okay, Oluwafunto, who lives in France, when I said retard is one of the French words for it, she said retard means late, but then again she said it's the pronunciation that makes the difference. So retard, or I don't know how she's going to pronounce it, because I cannot hear her. I would have loved to bring her on camera so she could pronounce it. That's what makes the difference in the meaning, and of course depending on where you place the stress on which syllable, that is what gives the word. So now I'm going to get up. I'm going to get my word of the day that has flown away. Okay, I'm back. So my word of today is kosher. 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 When you say something is kosher, it means that thing is proper or legitimate. Now kosher is pronounced Kosher, kosher, and that's the word. It's a noun. Kosher is our word of the day. When you say that thing is kosher, it means that particular thing is proper or it's legitimate. For instance, it is kosher, it is proper, it is kosher to respect your elders. It's kosher to respect your elders, it's proper to respect your elders, and okay, that thing is legitimate. Yes, of course, she spoke to me about it. It is kosher, it is actually legitimate. Okay, you mean that you? Oh yes, it's kosher, it is legitimate. Thank you, Dr. Raphael James, my brother from another mother. He says I should keep the good job going. We are learning. So, Dr. Raphael James, what have you learned today? I'd like to just have a quick run through all the words I had read earlier on, and these are words that have, okay, this is Angel. This is good for your SAR exam, really? Oh, Angel, that is so sweet. I didn't know. I don't know. What's your STAR exam? What's a STAR exam? That's an American exam, which I'm sure I do not know about. Kosher, yes, Oluwafunto, kosher, Kosher. It means proper or legitimate. For instance, somebody come and ask you, say, somebody called me just now and said that I should give them your documents. So yes, it is kosher, it's legitimate. Yes, I've spoken to him about it. And then it's also kosher for you to respect your elders. It's kosher for you when you go into a room where there are lots of people. It is kosher for you, it is proper for you not to chew gum so loudly. So that's what we're talking about. And then I like to just have a quick run through. Normally I always will have a quote, but because I was looking for a proper place to have my broadcast where there was no noise, I couldn't get it. Chloe, okay, this program is kosher. Thank you so much, Dr. Carver James said that this program is kosher. And then, oh my goodness, what have I done? Okay, kosher is also used to describe the food that Judith, what do you call it, is said to something to Jewish dietary law. Jewish dietary law, what is that supposed to mean? Okay, ask you now. You know that you were missing something big time. Okay, thank you so much. Judith, can you? I don't know what VON informed means to Jewish dietary law. Anyway, I would like to read some of the words again. That there are many other words. So these are just some of the ones that I found. Though there are many other words which are French words which we don't know, and we're now using them as English words. So we have bourgeois. We're talking about the bourgeoisie. Brunette, that one is for the Igbo people. Chauffeur, when you say I need where's my chauffeur? Chauffeur is actually a driver, but it is a French word found its way into English. Chic, when you say that lady is chic, the lady is stylish, is chic. Then a depot for drinks, a depot for like flour depot, cement depot, a depot. Okay, conform to. Okay, Judith wanted to say kosher is also used to describe food that conforms to Jewish dietary law. All right, okay. And it is actually a French word. Sorry, that's our noun of the day. So what am I saying? That is our word for the day. Then déjà vu, eau de cologne, en route. When it calls, so where are you? So I'm en route to the venue for the interview. En route. Fiance and fiancé, where the fiance, my fiancé. Fiance is the man, fiancé is the woman. It's actually a French word. Genre, joie de vivre, that's the joy of living. We use it. Toilette, RSVP. I said RSVP. Nigerians have changed it to say rice and soup very plenty, but it means répondez s'il vous plaît. When somebody sends you an invitation, répondez s'il vous plaît, that is, if you know you're not going to come back, if you know you won't be able to attend, please reply. And they always give a number, RSVP, répondez s'il vous plaît. What is authentic or defined for Jews to eat? Okay. Then we have bon voyage. Use that a lot. Bon voyage means safe journey. Cliché. Cliché. When you say that's a cliché. Then you have a bouquet that we use. Nigerians to pronounce it bouquet, but it's actually bouquet. That women, when they're getting married, they fling or they hold. The bouquet means they say flowers. Then you have boutique. A boutique usually sell fashionable clothes and shoes and perfumes and things. And you have a coup, a la carte. When people go to the restaurant and they want to eat, so what does a la carte mean? What does a la carte mean? A la carte, and people think that it is chic. I mean, it is classy and elitist to say, oh, you're going to have a la carte. Judith, what does a la carte mean? I know that people use it, but I really have not found out what the meaning of a la carte is. Yeah, so me too. I also thought there were English words. There's ballet, bon appetit, bureau, cafe. When you say I'm going to the cafe to go and browse internet, then a charlatan, that man is a charlatan. Then you have a clique. I don't like that clique that those people are forming. Those people are always like forming cliques in school. They always like forming cliques. Clique is actually a French word which is like English. Then they communicate after you've had a meeting. They like doing communiques in Nigeria a lot. Then you say come see, comes, of course, those words are French words actually. Come see, comes are like this, like that. So I found this way. You have a crèche where they take care, where people who run creches, they actually have children. It means on the menu. A la carte means on the menu. Can you imagine? And Nigerians don't know that it means on the menu. So I want to eat a la carte. Oh, a la carte means on the menu. Oluwafunto from France says a la carte means it is on the menu. So when you say you're going to go and eat a la carte, what is on the menu? Now, wow. Decor, say I like the decor. Lovely decor. Dossier. I need a dossier on that person. That is, want to get information. First is deep secret information class that will help you. And then you have eau de toilette. That's for perfume lovers. Liaison office. You always have different states have their liaison offices in head cities. like the federal city capital, you have the liaison office of different states where people can go and try and reach out to their governors. Then you have montage for those of you who are into editing. Montage. Omelets, eggs that we love and eat. Everybody say, please, I want omelets. Omelette is actually a French word. Then we have panache. She just walks around with great panache. And then rapport. I've got a good rapport with all my friends on verses and paragraphs. I got a good rapport with Judith, with Oluwafunto, Dr. Alfred James. Got a good rapport with my sister. That's a good rapport. And then retard. Retard, she said, it means late or a retarded person depending on your pronunciation of the word. Then sabotage. Sabotage or sabotage and a saboteur. They're all French words. Silhouette. Silhouette, when you see someone, I can see the person in silhouette. And then you have tete-a-tete. Nigeria, some of us say it is tete-a-tete. It actually means head-to-head. That means maybe close discussion. Then television. That's the most the most interesting one. Television is actually a French word. Vis-a-vis, face-to-face. And we now know that Dele Bankole, why you coming in when the class is just about going off? A la carte, when you order individual dishes from a menu in a restaurant. Okay, a la carte either means it's on the menu or when you order individual dishes from a menu in a restaurant. So now I need to go. Aside from the fact that I'm sweating, I think our time is about up. And today we'll be talking about French words and how they found their way into the English language. And I gave you the history behind how William the Conqueror invaded England in 1066. He said because the throne had been promised to him by his distant cousin, who was then the King of England, and he was the Duke of Normandy in France. And another person, one Harold, had sworn to help him get the throne because it had been promised to him. But Harold went ahead and installed himself as the King of England. And so William the Conqueror invaded in 1066, and on the 25th of December, he was installed king. And Bucatariat, which one is Bucatariat? Dele Bankole, buka is buka. If you have a buka, it is a buka. And Bucatariat cannot be French word. Ifi Asia, thank you for joining the program. And then as a result of the Norman conquest, a couple of things happened. English slave trade was banned. More castles were built, castles were introduced because they're actually French in design, but about 500 castles at the time he was dead were built. They banned the slave trade. You mean baccalaureate? I don't know for Dele. Dele, is it baccalaureate you are looking for? No, Dele, I think Dele is talking about buka where he goes to go and eat food. Dele, what are you talking about? Is it baccalaureate? And then, of course, the Normans, they introduced chivalry into England. Before the Normans invaded England, if you had a problem with your political rival, you just murdered the political rival and said, does that sound familiar? But when the Normans, after they invaded, they now made sure that people no longer killed their political rivals. They now look for a way to sort it out. They had major churches rebuilt and castles were introduced. And of course, the slave trade was banned. Gourmet of kitchen delicacies. Okay, Dele does not. I don't know about Bucatariat. Me too, I'm learning. No, we're all learning on this thing. We're all learning. And like I said earlier on, our word of the day is kosher. Kosher. Is that right? Kosher. Am I holding it right? I guess. And kosher means proper or legitimate. It is kosher, it is right. And what am I doing? Anyway, kosher is Kosher. It is proper or it is legitimate. And kosher also means to conform to certain dietary Jewish laws. But basically, kosher means it is proper and it is legitimate. So I'd like to give a shout out to everyone who tuned in. I thank you, Angel and Dafe. Shout out to you guys. High five to you guys, Angel and Dafe. Thank you for watching. Bridget, thank you for bringing them on. Essay, my sister from another mother. Thank you for watching. Oluwafunto and your contributions. Everybody, Judith, thank you for your contributions. Ifi Asia, thank you. Oluwafunto, yes, I've said Oluwafunto. Elizabeth, Joe, Dr. Raphael James, Dele Bankole. Please, if I didn't mention him, it's because the thing has scrolled up. But for everyone who joined us, and my sister, of course, my sister Eloho from Edinburgh, my greatest cheerleader who says she studied French. I shout out to croissant, of course, croissant. Yes, croissant is a biscuit, a delicacy. That one, croissant, yes, it's the name. It's the name of the. I love croissants myself too. So to everyone who has tuned in today, I hope you learned a thing or two. Thank you. Shout out again to Angel and Dafe. Yeah, and what is that your star exam? You haven't told me what a star exam is. I don't know what star exam is. So Chloe, okay, Askia, Jan Wadia, welcome at the close of the class. We've been talking about French words in English language and how they found their way in. Thank you so much. Jele Bankole says it's educative, and we've talked about how French became the elitist language after the conquest, Normandy. Thank you, Bridget Essay and her children. Interesting. Thank you so much, everybody, for watching. I'm so glad to have you all today. If you're at Museum, watching from Abuja, those are watching from America, from England, from Scotland, from Edinburgh. Before anyone fights me today, from Edinburgh. I'm from Lagos here, John. Thank you so much for tuning in to this broadcast. Tomorrow is another day, and we'll have another interesting topic to talk about. Thank you so much. You have yourselves a pleasant rest of the day. And to those of you in America, have a good day in school. Thank you so much. Bye.